Up there, gentlemen? Sorry I'm late tonight. And I just had a shit headache all day long. It like started last night, about an hour and a half in before the stream was over. I just started kind of just at that dull ache. And man, I just had a really shitty day with that headache. I'm telling you. Kind of like a tension headache, but right behind my eyes. I hate that so much. When I was a kid, I either had, I don't know, it might have been allergies or something, but I remember one summer straight where I just every day, like I was at summer camp and I would have to lay down while everybody else played dodgeball and stuff, and also like I had a sinus thing and we would go to the public pool. We would walk there on a couple days every week. They use so much chlorine in those pools. Chlorine is a natural irritant of, of your sinuses. Oh my God, it would be debilitating. I just think about myself like, man, that was rough. And I was like 12, maybe 13, like, a small kid. And I just remember a whole summer basically being wiped out. And it was miserable, like, remember my dad had a Wrangler and he would pick me up with the top down. And it would be like, it would rain it was just, and my head would be killing me. It was a couple of years. It was like when I was like 12, 13 that it was. And I remember my mom taking me to the doctor and getting me that scratch test. And I was fine. Nothing I was allergic to, nothing. And didn't find it. And it ended up going away. Yeah, that stuff sucked. Sure. And it's kind of, I'm gonna get to that Dearborn stuff. I mean, it's got a decent bit to talk about. But oh yeah, the allergic, that test. When I was a kid in the 90s, it seemed like everybody but me was allergic to something. Oh, when I was younger. Why? Why do you why do you ask? I Anyway, yeah. So many when I was in elementary school, there was almost every other kid was allergic to something. I remember my best friend Blake, he had asthma. I mean, that was so common and it just doesn't even exist anymore. I remember it was so many kids that had inhalers. It's like somebody should look into that. What the hell was that about? Tripping. What are you talking about? Yeah, that just, I'm not wanted to talk about Dearborn. I just wanted to kind of rant and ramble for a second, but there's I mean, so many kids they were allergic, they had asthma, which is just an allergy, and it just seemed to disappear. All my friends that had it when they got older, they didn't have it. I'm not so sure it's necessarily big pharmacy or big pharma. I don't know who it is, but like, and now we have this autism thing. And I remember I junior counselor at they called it the special pops. They were special pops. They were the kids that, you know, with the R word and whatnot. Like they really were. They had either autism or Down syndrome. I mean, across the spectrum. It was the same organization too. Different places, same organization. My mom knew the lady that ran it. And I mean, I think there was like maybe 30, 40 of them, and they were pretty much like, I think that they came from a pretty big area of the city. And this was before woke. This was in when Creed came. I remember uh Can You Take Me Higher was the music video that would play when I remember that. And which is like 2000, I think 2001, way back. Wise guy from way back. But that stuff, the uh the allergic stuff went away, and it just seems like obviously there's something in the environment that is just it's like, hey, I mean, I suppose you couldn't say haywire. I mean, like and also what made me think about this was I was watching those figure skating videos, and I stumbled upon one from Tanya Harding in like 90 something, and she's like huffing on an inhaler before winning some trophy as a figure skater. And I'm like, and it hit me. I was like, oh, I forgot about that. I forgot how many people huffed on those stupid ass inhalers when I was a kid. Ah, there was so many of them, and they made it a big deal. They kind of made it a big deal, when they would take it and stuff. So, but it just disappeared. I never did understand that. What the hell was up with that? And why does that kind of stuff just happen and nobody ever asks any questions? People just kind of accept it. And my dad was in the Marine Corps in the 80s, and this has really colored my opinions on a lot of things, and honestly, it has made me very suspicious. It's kind of made me cynical. But he was there in the 80s, and his aunt and uncle, his uncle was in the Marine Corps and retired from there. But they were on Paris Island. They lived on Paris Island. Well, my dad he wasn't eligible for VA for benefits. Yeah, until it came out as a class action suit that they were dumping chemicals at Paris Island, and anybody that was there between like 1970 and like 1990 was could gets VA benefits because they knew about it. Didn't do a damn thing. They knew it, and they just left it be. That our government did that to our guy. I mean, and my dad told me his aunt, nobody thought anything of it, but they had a fucking a graveyard for unborn children there. A massive graveyard of unborn children because of the extremely callous and evil people. So it's like I find it pretty hard. Like, and right then I remember thinking that my dad was before he found out about this. I thought he had become really cynical, and it was kind of disheartening. Kind of brought me down. I was like, why is he always got such a shit attitude? He's always pessimistic about, and he wasn't always that way. Wasn't until the cops started shooting people and it showing up on TV. It really freaked him out. Like they were black people too. He didn't, like, and I just remember he didn't say, yeah, that's what they get. He was like, they're fucking just gunning people down in the streets. This is crazy. But yeah, they were just letting, and this was in like the baby boom. So imagine how many of those children, and they only had like one or two. I think his cousin Skip, maybe he had a sister, but like his mom had 7 kids, and her sister had like 1 or 2. And what's crazy is my dad's mother's sister married my dad's father's brother. So it was like 2 brothers married 2 sisters. His cousin Skip was like a brother genetically, apparently. Really, it's kind of weird. Small town, but that's how much they care. That's how much they care about us. Junk science in the media. Huh. And I remember that when they were growing human ears on the backs of mice. It was really weird. It was really weird. The Japs and the Chinamen, yeah, growing ears on the backs of mice. Wild. By manipulating their code and stuff. It was weird though. I never really. It always just seemed a little bit grotesque to me. I don't know. Maybe I'm an idiot. I don't know. But and you know, just not too long ago, I was like kind of pissed off. The way that the way that they use Muslims, and the way that they talk to us. They just think we're just a bunch of gullible rubes. And I was like, kind of, defending Muslims. Well, yeah, that was a mistake. I mean, I have to admit, for the hooks. Yeah, I hear that. A call in. Yeah, that would be cool. But I was watching I watch Ben Shapiro's stuff. Whenever he does like a cut, I don't watch his whole damn show, but whenever he drops cuts, like 15, 10, 15, 20-minute cuts, I'll check it out. And he was talking about, first of all, he was talking about the Nick Shirley, where that getting chased, him and his bodyguard getting chased down by these barbarians. And then Jake Lang getting, oh shit, getting basically assaulted and, publicly beaten because, well, we're going to get into it, but uh yeah, let's go ahead and just get into it. But these people, I don't think first of all, I don't know what the hell we were thinking letting these people into our country. This is a big mistake. Whoever did this, you look at what's happening to Europe. It's time to, like, we got to tell these people to get while the getting's good, because they can't do free speech. That's not in it. That's not in them. They haven't got it in them. And I just kind of started to realize it again, like, wait a second, maybe some of that prejudice was justified. These people are crazy. I mean, they're not Western. They're like, just like the Muhammad stuff, they're willing to kill people, they're willing to beat, maim, do whatever they have to do for ideology. For us, there's nothing that serious. Nothing that serious. Well, that's not how they feel. That's not how they feel. And I don't want to live in a country where I can't say what I want for fear of, because you let these people get, gather and congregate and create enclaves. And then there's a whole area, a section where, yeah, people can't say whatever they want, because that's how it's turning out. Like, these people, they're not here for that. And they're going to fight that tooth and nail. They're going to fight it tooth and nail. They've proved that. They get, like, they want that. It seems they want to live in a country like that. Well, I don't want to live in that country. And you see, I'm going to show you, you're going to see how they can get, when somebody starts talking in a way they don't like. Why can't we get that way? Why is it that we can't get like that? What, like, are we just too civilized? Is that what the deal is here? And I hate this asshole. Like, I really do. He's such a smug, unhappy little weasel. But I mean, I kind of like bashing him in particular because he sits on a high horse. He really does. And he thinks, first of all, he thinks these Arab people, these Muslim people are like subhuman. I don't, that's not how I feel about them, but I don't want to live around them. That's the thing. We don't mesh. It's either they live by our rules or we live by their rules. And they're not going to live by our rules. And their rules are we don't get to say anything about them and their people. Yeah, that's not going to work for me. It's not going to work for me. Indeed.
If you let a bunch of Muslim migrants into your country, one of them might stab you in the face. And many of that dude's friends will stand by and do nothing.
I mean, we should definitely instead I mean, we have less than 1% Muslims here, but we also have a really big country. And it's easy. I feel like it's easy for people like this and our government to squirrel people away, to squirrel foreigners away so that they can create enclaves when we don't even know it. We don't even realize it until this kind of shit happens. And this, it's kind of like, it's not that it's scary, but it's like, can we reverse this? I'm not
or
so
maybe
sure.
chase along. That is a lesson journalists.
Like, I was asking myself, do I even want to talk about this? Do I even want to talk about this? Because I honestly, I don't particularly want to talk about it because it's a hard question. It's a hard question. This is not an easy, oh, it's just fun to, no, this is hard to talk about because these people are here and they bring this shit with them and they won't put it down. They won't put it down. It's like a hot cast iron skillet or something that they just won't let go.
Nick Shirley just learned in Ceuta. Shirley went to Ceuta, that's the Spanish city in North Africa, to document the impact of a gigantic wave of Muslim illegal immigrants who just stormed the area. And while he was there documenting things, surprise, surprise, someone tried to stab him. So again, here's the thing.
That's also why I'm actually showing Ben Shapiro, because he was like, I feel like I kind of owe him a little bit of credit because he had, in their defense, the Jays have laser focused, been on this. They have been beating this horse to death. Have they not? This is right. This is right in their wheelhouse. This is what they've been talking about. Right. And when I saw this, I thought to myself, thank goodness I have Laura Loomer on my side on this one. Cause that woman, these people, they're like psychos kind of, but it's like, at least they are trained against. I mean, I'm not going to lie. Like, she's like a shark, man.
When you let in wide swaths of immigrants from foreign cultures who hate you, like, say, generally the Muslim world, it may be that some of them are fine and dandy and some.
This asshole hates us too. Don't get it twisted. This guy hates our guts too. But, I don't fear him. He's a pussy.
Maybe be willing to assimilate, and some of them will be fine. And a few will try to chase you down and stab you in the face. I'll explain in a second why that matters, not just for Spain, not just for Europe, but for America. America's about to find out just what a problem we've got tonight in Michigan, and soon in Wisconsin, and probably all over the country. This is The Ben Shapiro Show. So, remember Ceuta? Yeah, that thing's still going on. So, video journalist Nick Shirley, you'll recall him going to Minnesota and California to uncover fraud on the federal and state level. He went to Ceuta. So Ceuta, as we've been talking about this week, is a small Spanish-owned enclave on the tip of North Africa. It borders Morocco. And for two reasons, 60,000 plus Muslims swarmed Ceuta.
I'm not so sure that the Jays actually have ever advocated for bringing these sons of bitches here. I honestly, I don't think they have. I'm not so sure you could blame. We have like a 1%, less than 1% population of Muslims. And I think they've killed more Muslims in the world than they brought to America. Want to know the downright truth of it? Since 1948, they've killed a hell of a lot of Muslim people.
A few days ago. First reason, open borders, pro-radical Islam policies promoted by the Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez, and just like Joe Biden. And two, a court ruling in Spain that if you swim to Ceuta, you're cool. If you try to walk over the border, they can just return you to Morocco. But if you swim, you're cool. So people just swam 30 feet, and now they can't really be deported. Okay, so Nick Shirley goes there to document what things are like, and things got a little spicy. Here's what that looked like.
We saw this last night, of course.
Then headed to the center of the town with
Hey, like and subscribe, and drop a comment if you would.
the citizen vigilante Mancia. However, within minutes, we were chased out.
So now people here to feel safe, they're walking around with their dogs because Muslims do not like dogs. Watch out, watch out, watch out.
He's saying, F, come here. Grabs it. Somebody took a bottle from the garbage and he starts chucking bottles at him.
Now we got people throwing stuff at him.
And now here they come. They're throwing things at him. And pretty soon, there is a dude who's going to chase him with a knife.
Now he's throwing rocks. Oh, shit. They're throwing rocks.
They were throwing rocks at him. And now they're running away. Because you can hear the guy in the background shouting, I'm going to stab both of you.
Look, now we're getting chased.
Good thing Nick Shirley ran track.
I don't want to live in it. I don't want to live amongst people like this. I don't want to live amongst people like this. And say what you will about the lefties, the nutcases on the left. They don't particularly have any balls. Like they're just as reticent to draw blood as, what I mean is not in some protest, there's psychos there. But I mean, in the street and stuff, like they're not criminals. They're liable to chase you down like a thief or something. But it's truly barbaric, this kind of behavior. And I don't think these people, I think it's totally, well, we've seen that it's in them, that they haven't left it behind. They brought it with them. They think they're going to become a power here or something, I'm sure.
In high school, apparently.
He's got a knife.
Again, there's literally a dude chasing them with a knife. Just through the streets of Ceuta. So, this isn't just a Spain problem, as we've been talking about. If you import millions of people like this, they will then form voting blocs and enclaves and voting coalitions. And they will vote for people who would import more of them, including the people who might want to stab you in the face. This is not a Spain problem. This is also a Michigan problem. Again, we played this just yesterday, but it is worth playing in this context because, again, it is not, unfortunately, a total rarity. Jake Lang, who is a right-wing agitator.
I don't know who this guy Jake Lang is. I think I've seen him before. He's just looking for trouble all the time. But, I'm kind of glad this guy exists because this is canary in the coal mine shit. Like this, okay, we got a problem over here. Because, no matter how distasteful, how disgusting someone's words are, Americans don't chase them down and beat them up.
He went to a march in Dearborn. I'll get to the details on the march in a second. And here's how it went for Jake Lang.
Court, ICE, we do not want these illegal immigrants here. Jesus is king of Dearborn, Michigan. I speak the name of Jesus.
Oh,
And they come in and people start hitting him and punching him.
No violence. No violence. No
And
violence.
they start
Listen how
punching him
stupid
and
he
kicking him
sounds. No
and following him
violence.
around.
No
And then he has to
violence.
race through
No
the streets of Dearborn, trying to avoid having the crap kicked out of
What an
him.
idiot.
And of course, you have a giant crowd that's following along, smiling, enjoying the sights. Here he goes, running, people beating him up, trying to get into a cop car. The cops are not arresting anybody. They're just watching as Jake Lang gets the shit kicked out of him.
Not good.
He gets pushed into the car by the cops. Just good times happening in Dearborn. Really good times happening over there in Dearborn, Michigan. So I just want to remind you, here are some of the flags that were being flown at that memorial for a Muslim leader killed in the 7th century and treated as a fallen hero by Shia Muslims. This is a march that happens every year. And some of the flags included marchers in Hezbollah headbands carrying flags of U.S. designated terrorist Iran-backed Iraqi Hezbollah brigades. as well as the Iran-backed Iraqi Popular Mobilization Forces. This event has been held in Dearborn since 2004. It was a march attended by thousands of people. That's the Arba'in procession in Dearborn, Michigan.
What pisses me off is, yeah, this stuff didn't exist when I was a kid in the 90s. It wasn't until like 2000, late 2000s, early 2010s. You know, it's a recent problem. It's a recent problem these fuck-ups in Washington have created. Like, dude, could these people be any more of a group of fuck-ups that can't do anything right? Nothing. They won't do anything right. It's not that they can't, they won't do anything right.
So Dearborn has a population of about 110,000 people. More than half of those people are apparently Muslims from the Middle East and Near East. And here is what Dearborn is like, courtesy of video journalist Nate Friedman.
Brace yourself.
Welcome to Dearborn.
Again, it's like public proclamations of prayer times. And people wearing like the full burqa. You know, flags of various Islamic organizations flying.
Center in North America.
Assalamu alaikum. Are you
Again, people just walking through the streets. Abdul for Senate.
Do you want Sayad to win or Stevens?
Again, like Dearborn is a very, very, very Muslim and radicalized city.
This is the Islamic takeover of Michigan. Welcome back to the Nate Friedman Show. I've come to Dearborn to see what it's really like here. It's an ordinary Wednesday, and if you had to do some work on the house and stop at Home Depot first, these are the signs you would see.
Look at this shit, dude. Motherfucking Arab on fucking Home Depot signs, dude. What? That's crazy. Dude, this is totally unacceptable. Totally unacceptable. Who the fuck decided that this was okay, that we could do this? What moron decided that?
And if you had to do some work on the house and stop at Home Depot first, these are the signs you would see.
Bro. What the fuck? Dude. I don't want to live in the UK. I don't want to fucking live there, man. For this reason, I don't want to live with these people. They're barbarians. Like the words hurt them. They treat words like violence. Where did any of these politicians get off bringing people here? And Islam is that ideology. It's either you convert or they kill you, basically. I mean, there's really it's like I said, there's only two choices. It's either they live by our ideology, freedom of speech, or we live by theirs. And they don't bend with the wind. Like, they're willing to get violent over this stuff. You know, before another one of these people comes through our customs with to live here, bro, we need to sort this shit out and decide if we're just going to go ahead and capitulate to a couple of small towns with, big small town populations of these pieces. Man, these people are bad news. They're not doing the West thing. They're not doing the freedom of speech thing. I mean, obviously, they're not. I mean, when you start changing the language of the place you're at, you're not trying to assimilate at that point.
See.
I mean, literally, the signs are in Arabic at the Home Depot. Okay, so again, why does that matter? Right? Be tolerant. America's a big country, right? Well, here's
Not
why it
big
matters.
enough.
Because it turns out that you can build a political base off of enclaves like this. So Ilhan Omar has obviously done that in Minnesota, right? She is elected by her largely Somali Muslim base in Minnesota. Rashida Tlaib, unsurprisingly, is the representative for the city, Dearborn.
Why did we
But
bring these
what
fucking
also
people
happens
here?
is that you can
What were they thinking? Like, we got to struggle with another ideology now, another way of life. We get like, bro, we were lucky enough to not live in the old world. And we just brought the old. It's pretty incredible, huh?
use that base to build a coalition with other anti-American radicals. And then you start moving from local congressional seats into, say, the Senate, or into gubernatorial seats, or into the mayoralty of New York. And then maybe the Senate for somebody like a Zoran Mamdani. This is the coalition that Hassan Piker is interested in building. It's why he campaigns with all these people. It is about to take a big step forward tonight, in all likelihood. So why does all of this matter? Because it's coming to America, and soon it could be in the United States Senate. That is a real thing that is happening today in Michigan. We'll get to all of that. First, the modern world has turned eating into a full-time research project. So every single week, there's a new headline telling you that something you've been eating for years is terrible for you. It is really, really difficult, honestly.
It's like they want like a Royal Rumble cage match amongst ethnicities in America and Europe. You know, to keep us on our toes or something. Or like Alexander, you know, Philip filling the house full of heirs. And when Alexander questions them and says, you know, why must you do this? Why must you have, you know, bed so many women and have so many kids? And he said, you know, competition, my son. You'll have all that much more reason to, to prove them and surpass them. You know, I forget exactly how it goes, but that's what his dad said to him, like laughed in his face and said, you know, so there's just that much more competition and it makes that much better of a man out of you. Is that what they're doing? So now we have to be locked in a struggle of survival with these sons of bitches who had no hand in taming this country. You know, and like, oh, what, they're gonna move here and then use the oppressor, oh, you were slaveholders spiel on us. We're gonna let them come here and guilt us about racism. We're gonna let a foreign people come to our country and then stand over top of us and guilt us and say anything. Fuck you. Your people had slaves like 10 years ago. Shut your mouth. Like, that's besides the point, really, though. It's like, it's so tiresome. It's so tiresome. Like, why do we have to worry about this kind of stuff? You know, people didn't used to have to worry about getting replaced. And they didn't always have a booming, you know, a population that was growing out of control, but they still didn't have to worry about getting replaced. You know, it's like people went through the Black Plague, but at least they didn't have to worry about getting fucking replaced. It's just so, it's evil.
Like, my wife will bring up clips of influencers telling me a thing that I've been eating is awful in Michigan against Abdul El-Sayed. Abdul El-Sayed is a radical advocate for Muslims, including terrorists. Right now in the Kalshi markets, he is basically a dead certainty to win. 98.3% of people think that El-Sayed is going to win in the primaries tonight. Now, as our sponsors over at Kalshi also demonstrate,
Ben Shapiro, what a piece of scum. Literally taking money from those fucking blood-sucking sharks at Kalshi. Bro, that is so disgusting. But you know what? The shoe fits. And I don't know why I thought anything other, you know? Like, of course he gets money from gambling websites. You know, that Kalshi, you know how much money that they have wrung out of the American people. They are stealing millions from people. New York is suing them, but what's crazy is these companies they have to pay taxes, and different states have different levies, and they tried to negotiate with New York. Well, apparently they couldn't strike a deal, so New York sues them. And I'm thinking to myself, oh, I see. You didn't pay the politicians. They didn't get a big enough cut. So, it's like they're the gatekeepers of who gets to rape us as a population, who gets to rob us, who gets to squeeze and wring us out like a fucking wet towel. It's so filthy and disgusting. They used to fight for us, like, and fight off gambling, like illegal gambling operations. Now they take bids on who takes, who gets to take the big wet bite out of our ass It's so crooked, man. This shit should be outlawed. Scratch off should be outlawed. And these bastards, Kalshi, they're getting away with this because companies can hedge things. Like if they have a shipment coming in, they can hedge the bet or hedge that shipment in case the shipment doesn't come. They'll still make something. They'll still clear a certain amount of money. And that's what they're doing. They're saying, "Oh, we're just we're just that kind of a company." I forget what they call it, or an event company, I forget what they call it. But you're like buying events or buying, I forget what it's called, but something like that. And that's how they're getting away with it. No, it's parlays that shit is gambling. The whole site is gambling. And like all this loophole shit where it's, oh, we have laws on the surface. You know what I mean? Like our laws are almost like for show. You know what I mean? Like it might be de jure, but it's not de facto. It's crazy. It's the same thing with those social club laws. Bro, what the hell kind of a fucking banana republic? What kind of a crooked back alley democracy is this? Or country is this? It's not fair anymore. It's not upfront. It's like our politicians, they're just our agent. They're just the people's agent, and they decide how much it's going to cost to screw the people over, because you have to pay them. It sounds like a mafia boss or a boxing agent that, basically leeches off of a young guy his whole life, gets rich off of a young boxer. Treats him like shit, beats him and stuff, treats him like a stripper or something, It's crooked, man.
This means the Republicans do have a significantly better shot of winning the Michigan Senate seat in general, because El Sayed is a worse candidate. So Haley Stevens would be very likely to beat Mike Rogers, who's the Republican Senate candidate. The odds for Rogers are going up pretty significantly based on the fact that El Sayed is likely to be the Democrat nominee. But El Sayed is, of course, a radical Muslim. He has significant ties to Dearborn. He campaigns there all the time. And as we've pointed out over and over again, he refuses to disavow Ayatollah Khamenei because it might piss off too many people in the very moderate Muslim city of Dearborn. Here was that leaked audio.
I also want to remind you guys that there are a lot of people in Dearborn who are sad today. Mm-hmm. So, I just don't want to comment on Khamenei at all. I don't think it's worth even touching that. They're going to try and, this is what we practice, but isn't Khamenei a bad guy? Isn't it great that he's dead? My first amendment was 86 years old. He was going to be dead sometime soon anyway. Second, that doesn't justify, the fact that he was a bad man does not justify our breaking of international law and unilateral action.
This is not good, man. Do you think that they would say that? Do you think they would say that if they were talking about Benjamin Netanyahu or something? If Benjamin Netanyahu was assassinated, do you think these guys would be saying that it was a bad idea and this and that? No, they wouldn't. That right there proves that they have ties to their homes. They have ties to these places. They're not leaving that stuff back in the old country. They're bringing baggage here. And as soon as they get any number of them here, then they're not going to let us forget it. These people, their whole ideology is like about subjugation. They can't help but subjugate. But right here with this instance with Khomeini, this is them looking, just like communists and stuff do. Something happens, oh, we assassinated somebody that they like. Then they start reaching around for technicalities to justify being upset about it or speaking out against it. These guys don't give a shit about our foreign policy laws. They like the guy. That guy, they think, that's an assault on them or something. Man, we don't need that here. We don't need that here. These people got to go. Like, you're not going to breed these people out. They send money home. They bring more people here. This is just a huge headache that we did not need. We did not need this headache. These people, they don't think like us. They don't see any they don't have anything to relate to us with. They don't like us either. They just don't like us. And they're violent, and they're barbaric. Attacking somebody because you don't like you're going to gang up on a guy and just run him out of, nah, man. You're a fucking savage. Get the hell out of here. You are a savage. You don't deserve to live in this country. You don't deserve to live amongst us. You don't. You don't. Go back to your shithole where you came from. You don't deserve to be here. Like, I have family in Michigan. My whole paternal side of my family lives in Michigan. My dad was born in Michigan. I've spent months there. And this, oh man. Yeah, honestly, I need to get in touch with my family up there and just kind of ask them what's going on. How is it? I don't have any family in Dearborn, but I do have family in Detroit. I do have family in Grand Rapids and Kalamazoo. I think Michigan's a great state too, but I don't think this is good for them. This isn't something that bodes well for their future.
Outside of wartime. Mm-hmm. Like, this is a bigger question about the United States' responsibility to international law, and we have been breaking it wantonly. This is the second leader that we've gone after in a matter of months. We are not the world's policeman, and that's not what he got elected to do.
I totally agree with him there. Totally agree with him, by the way. But you and I both know that it has nothing to do. That guy, he don't give a shit about policing the world. If that guy was anybody else, he would be bitching and moaning about it. Or he would, he wouldn't be saying this. He wouldn't be saying this. If it was Benjamin Netanyahu, he would think we were right to police it. And I oppose that stuff. I agree with him, but I oppose it because I care about America. And I think that's a waste of our time. He opposes it because he identifies with Khomeini. Yeah, that's not good. And we see what these people are capable of, what caliber of people these are. The husbands and the wives and the kids. And the wives, they protect this shit. Like they are okay with these men raping white girls. Nah, man, fuck these people. Nah. I'm not living with them. I'm not living amongst these scumbags.
Again, the reason that he is hesitant is because, number one, he has large-scale sympathies for radical Islam, and two, a lot of his constituents have large-scale sympathies for radical Islam. Again, this is the same guy who suggested when a when a person from Dearborn tried to murder a bunch of Jewish preschoolers, that the reason that was happening is because that guy's brother had been killed as a member of Hezbollah in Lebanon and hurt people. He is also, by the way, touting the endorsement of a pastor who praised Louis Farrakhan. And Louis Farrakhan, of course, one of the greatest anti-Semites of the last 50 years in America.
So what?
He's enthusiastically, El Sayed, he is enthusiastically touting the endorsement of Horace Sheffield III, an influential Detroit pastor and radio host who once he praised on Nation of Islam minister Louis Farrakhan. Sheffield endorsed El Sayed on air in November 2025, with the Senate hopeful issuing a press release to commemorate the occasion and saying he was deeply honored to have his support. The Washington Free Beacon has reported that the El Sayed campaign had paid a nonprofit run by Sheffield $75,000 for consulting fees between October 2025 and June of this year. So Sheffield endorsed him, obviously, and of course Sheffield was very tight with Louis Farrakhan. So who is the base for Abdul El Sayed? Well, I mean, I can show you the base for Abdul El Sayed. Memory TV, which does a great job translating from Arabic and Persian into English. Well, they got tape of a mosque in Dearborn, Michigan, Shia mosque in Dearborn, Michigan. And I wonder who Abdul El Sayed's base of support is. Who could it be? Possibly who? He says the time has come, Allah willing, is Imam Husham al-Husseini, for those who represent us to reach Washington. For the Zionist lowlives who spent millions of dollars to stop this surge to be humiliated. Allah refuses everything short of perfecting his light, even if the polytheists and the infidels hate that. And then he spoke at this mosque.
How do we make sure that they have the health care that they need here?
He was campaigning here.
And meanwhile, there's also a question of what the consequences of our...
Man, I don't want this shit in my country. I don't want to live amongst these savages. And you know, these mosques, obviously, these things are like spiritual institutions, political. Look, he's speaking in a mosque. Other dude is over there. He's getting up in there like a preacher too. I don't like, this is just, man, this is some ass backwards shit. It's not smart. It's not what smart people would be doing. Smart people would not be importing these people. It's like, don't you like controlling your own government? Don't you like being in control of your own fucking destiny, your own political destiny? Or do you want a bunch of these people to be in charge of it? How's that sound? Like, what the hell are people thinking? This is so dumb. You can't be any dumber than to want to break bread with these people. Want to break bread with them? Go to the Middle East. Don't bring these assholes here. You know, they're not capable of that stuff. Like, they don't do the assimilating thing. Yeah, these enclaves, we didn't used to do this. We didn't used to have enclaves. You know, they got spread out, spread pretty thin. They didn't have this. There might be a couple, like just enough for a boy and a girl to find each other at each high school. You didn't have it where you had a whole damn town, Arabic police cars with, you know, their police departments in Arabic on the side of it. What the hell? So stupid.
Politics are for people living thousands of miles away in the countries from where we and our families come. And the story too often of...
So that, okay, I see. So you're colonizing on behalf of those countries then. You're not leaving the, like, because that's essentially what they're saying, what this is. They come from countries thousands of miles away and represent those countries in our country. Bro, what are we thinking? This is dumb. This is dumb. Serious people don't do this. I mean, we're going to have to reckon with it. I surely hope that, you know, we have the wherewithal and the stones to run these people out. Get them out of here. I don't like it. Doesn't bode well.
And, you know, like just normal crazy libs. Like, that's the coalition. Here's Francesca Hong explaining.
Is it a risk appearing alongside these guys as you kind of train and headed to the general?
It would be risk not to try to build the broadest coalition possible.
Oh, well, the broadest coalition. That's the important thing. That's the important thing. And she says that the DSA national platform actually is not radical enough. She needs to add a foreign policy plank. I mean, Ilhan Omar.
Man, and I don't really like the way he goes about this as he's talking about it's like communists and all the, forget the way he puts it, but yeah, I don't like it either how we bring in these, you know, we bring in these people that are just a hodgepodge of foreigners, and then they all start ganging up on us. You get freaking Eskimos calling us racists and stuff. Bro, what? No. No. I'll be damned. Like, ugh. And these it's like we went through a phase where we were dealing, that race was a big thing in our country. And white and black, I feel like it's kind of past, but these people, they won't let it. They won't let it. Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar. Everybody's a racist, and everything comes back to how they've been wronged somehow. Well, if you've been wronged, go be wronged somewhere else, man. Because if you're here, you weren't wronged. You haven't been wronged. Like from all these countries, all these people that have raped and pillaged just as much as anybody else. And they think that they have they think that that they can lecture us, wag their finger at us, man. And they're violent. They're violent. That freaks me out a little bit. Like, these people, they don't want to live alongside different people. They don't want anything to do with that. And the like normal, like regular leaders, regular politicians and stuff. These people, I feel like a lot of the problems that, first of all, a lot of problems that people thought were solved or whatever that have come back to bite us in the ass. And just the problems of governing. Like, when you govern, first of all, it has to be sustainable. You can't just fuck everything up over and over. Every day, some new thing gets screwed up. Because eventually, it all goes to hell. Like, you just keep screwing, you're running the debt up, and you're ensuring that we're going to have some kind of a collapse going forward. Like, that's not sustainable. The way that they rule, it's just not sustainable. They make such huge mistakes, massive mistakes. And some of it beggars belief. Some of it is just insane. Like, how could they have, like, how are they this stupid? How can they not run anything? Like, and I seen that Coach Greg Adams. I don't know if you guys know of him. He's a black dude. I think he's like red pill. But I used to watch him here and there. Well, I seen his thing popped up on my feed today. He's in Bangkok, China. I guess he's doing kind of a bit of a tour of Asia, and like just kind of had a wild hair up his ass, was going to another Asian country and just thought, well, let me see if I can go to Bangkok. Or not Bangkok, Beijing, excuse me. Sorry. Yeah, he's like, yeah, maybe, maybe why not try? Let's see if I can do it. And so he did. He got like a 240-hour. He didn't have to apply for a visa or anything. He figured out how to do it, and it looked just like. I mean, it looked everybody kind of just like here. People with shopping bags in their hands, but they're all Chinese. They're not like swamped with foreigners and stuff, and everybody's happy. They're all doing swell, taking pictures with him. And they're not constantly in turmoil. And I was just thinking to myself, like, man, we have such incompetent, and it's like I'm not so sure that humans are even capable of running a system like this. Because hey, what's up, Robin? It's like every person has their own little bullshit little fiefdom that they, they're concerned about their tiny little concerns, you know. And I feel like I feel like a lot of these politicians, they have these little crusades where they have their one thing that they focus on, and everything else they're oblivious of. And it's like, dude, this is too serious for that kind of stuff. And I was reading an article about the Groypers and how it's like, oh, Republican staffers are all Groypers now or something. And they're saying, oh, they're picking for ideology, not for competence. And, these really aren't these aren't the operators of the yesteryear. They're much to be desired. I'm thinking, how the fuck would you know? You haven't done anything right ever, motherfucker, ever. Like, you have shit on us for decades now. So I guess some of them are just these arrogant asses that think that they're actually doing a good job. It's like, I can assure them, nobody thinks they're doing a good job. Because they're not. I mean, truly. Vivek sucks. This guy, actually, been watching a few of his videos lately, and they're pretty good. Little, not stick figures, but they're like, here's the scene. I'm gonna pull this up for a minute. Show you guys. Beijing.
Gonna take a picture with me?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Hold on.
听懂吗？他这是啥呀？他这前置摄像头啊？对，他这是大疆。
对，它属于那种的。
哦。
铁类。
All right, thank you very much. Bye bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You want a picture too? Okay. Made it to China. China in the background right here. Beijing. What do you think, man? They call me the Lord of the Rings. And boy, well, I'll just make it to one spot to the next. Little Chinese girl, probably first time she saw a black guy. She just happy, pointing at her mom and all that. But
bro, it looks pretty badass to me. Looks pretty nice to me, man. Doesn't look like a shithole to me, dude. I mean, I could think of like that right there. I think anybody's lucky to live in a place that looks like that. I mean, we live in a place that looks like that. But look at the people.
Let's go see what we got going on in here, man. Check this out. Background. Freeze frame.
Like, they get kind of freaked out when they see a black guy. That's how fucking homogenous China is. Why can't things... It's maybe it's best not even to look at this stuff, because that ship has sailed, it seems.
Freeze frame. Okay. Looks like we got some shops, some tourist shops, and all of this. When I booked my hotel, they made it look like this was behind my hotel. But it was about a 20-minute ride in traffic. No big deal. Let's check that out. This is right outside of Tiananmen Square. And this feels like Disneyland, to be honest with you. Feels like Disneyland. Like there's no streets or trains coming around here. But
there is a trolley though.
A lot of shops, restaurants. You can get just about anything here, looks like. This is my first time here, so I'm enjoying it with you. All across the board. Looks like
you hear that dink, dink, dink in the background? That's a jeweler sitting there hand making jewelry right on the side of the street. That's cool.
Like a lot of food. A lot of food places here.
Tagging. Yeah. Well,
this is the real big.
But, you know, it's like, oh, you don't dare do that there. It's same thing here. There's a lot of things you don't dare do here. You don't dare piss in public right in front of people. There's all kinds of stuff. But what? But they don't have spray paint all over their shit. And like, we don't have litter either. We have a pretty clean society as well. I like the high trust stuff. You shouldn't be spray painting shit. Hell no. Like, and like, I don't think that's such a bad thing. Like, people think that we're barbaric with our rules and throwing people in jail and stuff. It's like, you know, if you think that's barbaric, you know, look at the people that they hold.
Beijing, China. Who knew? And I'll tell you, you know what? They got some jewelry over here. Somebody making some jewelry. So, let me just say, I never thought I would be in Beijing, China. And the reason why I'm here is...
And that camera, like how Apple got the camera to stay still, man, that's amazing. How the hell did they figure that out? You know, like you're holding the camera and the shit looks like it's on a freaking a dolly, you know, like it's on a movie dolly and there's like a director away and a boom. Like, bro, that is impressive, man. It literally looks like a movie, a Hollywood camera dolly is filming this guy. It's impressive.
Because my original trip that I made out here, I was supposed to stay a little bit longer in the Philippines with the Sea Mexicans.
Sea Mexicans.
But some stuff happened. I had to reorganize the trip. And I said, since I'm over here, I've been to the Philippines quite a few times. I've been to Cambodia, I've been to Thailand, I've been to Japan, Tokyo, all through Japan. You'll see in that vlog already. I said, I might as well go over to Beijing. And I reorganized my Philippines trip.
This guy reminds me of a silverback gorilla all day long. Like, that's all I can think of when I see this guy. He's funny, but man, he just reminds me of a silverback gorilla. But he's got that whole slick pimp daddy kind of a thing. He just thinks he's just hot shit, you know? He's the cat's ass. And oh boy, I bet he smells like cocoa butter and cologne too. He's got those soft hands, them soft black hands. They're all pink and stuff. Like, I don't know. It kind of cracks me up. It's funny, you know, I just get a kick out of how cool he thinks he is. You know, what a badass he is.
Trip to go over to Beijing.
He's so smooth.
And then hit Cambodia again because I liked it there. And I had to study what it would take to get into China. So let me tell you, I'm going to tell you real quick what it took to get into China. First of all, it took some guts because as Americans, we're psyched out about other countries, whether it's safe to visit, where we can visit or not. But, hey. Hello. You guys know any English?
You know, it's like they don't like foreigners in China. I really respect that about China, is that they don't take no shit from people. Like, if they don't, I don't know you. What do I give a shit what you think? Get the hell out of my face. I respect the hell out of that. But they still, you know, like, he's obviously sticks out like a sore thumb. But you know, they come up, they say, hey, they take pictures with him. Like, they don't take any shit from anybody, but they're also not like these, you know, just these weirdos that, you know, treat people like, you know what I'm saying? That there's something, I like that. I like that they, you know, that they have a good kind of an even keeled, they kind of are that way. And, you know, they have a very, so you would almost say like a judgmental attitude, you know, and there are certain, you know, when they don't like something, they're not shy about saying that they don't like it, or, ooh, that's bad. That's gross. You know, they'll say that stuff. And, they don't apologize to anybody. And man, I respect that. I've been told that about myself too, that I don't really apologize for how I am, which is true, but not purposely. But I mean, I like that about China, that, they're modest. They're modest. You don't see them bragging, but they know their value. They know they're proud of who they are, but they're also modest about it. And I like that. I think that's admirable.
Just a little bit? Good. What is your name?
Anna.
All right, good. My name is Greg. Where are you from?
China.
China. Beijing? Okay. I've never been there. Well, good to...
I think the one on the left, she don't really like him. She's like thinking, it looks like her face is thinking, like she's not sure what to think about this brother. He's like, I don't know. Is this guy... He looks like a big ape, but seems okay.
Meet you. Say hi to everybody.
Hello. Hi.
Bye-bye. Okay.
A lot of jewelry makers, I guess.
What was I going to say? I was saying that a lot of us get psyched out about what it takes to visit another country, especially a country like China.
I don't know about that though, actually. Like, bro, that's China. That's a super old, they've been around a hell of a long time, and I'm not so sure how. I remember I had a kid I went to school with, and his dad was Mormon, but he was a businessman, and he used to go to China. I remember his dad would go for like a month. But I don't know why I just thought of that, but I'm not so sure people do feel that way. I feel like Americans, in particularly too, they seem to go everywhere. That's how it seems anyway. Americans going all over the place, all over the world. I don't really, even American women, they don't even worry about going someplace by themselves. Although maybe I'm wrong here. I don't know. Maybe I am wrong.
A country like China is like, can we go there? Can we do stuff there? You don't hear a lot of people visiting China, in terms of Americans, especially Black Americans. You don't hear a lot of people visiting China.
Yeah, that's because Black Americans think everybody cares what they think. And Black Americans think everybody is racist. And everybody is going to... they don't really believe that shit. It gives them an excuse to be closed-minded and to think that they're special.
And coming back with a report. So I said, is this safe to go? I had to look it up. Is it safe to go to China? Well, they didn't say no, but yeah. Then the next thing was, could I get a visa to China? Well, probably it takes a lot to get a visa. So I'm thinking, what would it take to actually get a visa to China? Well, it was a lengthy process. And the best way to do it, since I was already in the Philippines, was to make a...
It's enough of this.
But first, a GB News alert. Social media posts have revealed that African migrants are planning another invasion of Ceuta in Spain,
live, by the way.
Warning that this could be their last chance to enter Europe on the 15th of August. And that follows fresh fears that convicted terrorists were among the wave of people who stormed the Spanish enclave last week. Reform's UK's Home Affairs spokesperson Zia Youssef previously spoke to GB News, where he issued this warning.
That's what 60,000 looked like arriving on a single day. That's why it's so striking. Britain needs to wake up. If we do not secure our borders, then we are going to see scenes like the ones that we have seen become, sadly, increasingly common.
Meanwhile, this was the response from Prime Minister Andy Burnham.
But it is a cause for concern, and we are making contact with the Spanish government, the Spanish authorities.
Man, I really don't like this, man. Like, how is it that we have to be worried about this? How is it we have to be worried about these people getting into our countries and then our government squirreling them away, hiding them away, giving them like, wow, why? What existence, what reality, what backwards reality does this exist in, where it's like We're so scared about any sort of economic pressure or, like, or immigrant pressure, any sort of pressure between countries. Oh, and all of a sudden we'll end up outnumbered in our own country and swamped and being beaten to death by foreigners. Like, what the hell, man? Why? Why do we have to live like this? It's just so not fair. And it's like they just don't give a shit who they bring. They'll bring anybody. It's not like back in the day where they would bring Eastern Europeans or something, and they're civilized for the most part. I mean, they wear weird track suits and chains and a lot of cologne and stuff, but at the same time, though, they're not beating you up because, you're a Christian. But and the fact that these shitty politicians can't just say, yeah, we're not going to let them in. Like, these people, they're not even in the country yet. They haven't even crossed the border. And these guys still can't say, I'm not going to let them in. What the hell, dude? These people are hypothetical. You won't even say that. You won't even, like, you let hypothetical people into our country. It's like, bro, what the hell is going on here? Venezuela has a big Shia community. How is that possible? Yeah, those people that went into Spain, yeah, they were Moroccans. Like, that's what that's what it sounds like to me. Just a bunch of throat clearing.
To provide support, but also to understand the implications of that situation.
Provide support.
Yes, also later on went to say how border crossings are down.
What business do you have providing? Bro, the only business that you have is keeping these assholes out. You have no business providing them with support. The only business that you have to take care of on the border is making sure that they don't cross it. How about you do that job? If you have to give them aid and relief or whatever, you failed. You fucking failed. You're fired. Get out. Or you know what? Maybe you should take their place back in their country, asshole. See how many, start exiling people and see how tight the borders get, like a dolphin's asshole, watertight.
And then blah, 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 blah. Right, with me now is the director of the Border Security and Immigration Centre at the Heritage Foundation, Laura Rise. Laura, welcome. Is this something that we need to be concerned about? Some people feel that it's not really a worry.
Well, it absolutely needs to be a concern because it's been going on for years, not just in the UK, but throughout Europe. And what happened in Ceuta late last week,
like, that's so weird. They're talking to an American woman on GB News. That's so, why? What for? Look, she's like a ghost, man. Holy crap. Super blonde. Doesn't know how to take care of her hair either. Jesus. It's rough.
Shocking to the world. It was bad optics. It was a lot of people all at once. But frankly, UK and other countries have been living with that, albeit in smaller numbers each day, each week, and suffering the consequences from it. The crime and the high taxes and the loss of sovereignty and the loss of what it means to be.
That's the problem. The problem here is that we're losing our right to self-determination. We're losing the right to decide politically, our futures politically. Like, that's what this is. These Muslims that come, the ones that come here, they come here and they want the totally opposite. They don't want us to live the way we want to live. They would love to oppress us with their shitty religion. I don't know. This stuff's really bothering me. Especially, it wasn't bothering me until I see these beatings take place. Like, seriously, I was not even thinking about this. Like, I thought it was kind of a non-issue. And then you see Nick Shirley get chased down by a bunch of heathens. And then you see that Jake Lang get chased into a cop car, that freaks me out. When I went to school with Muslims, like I remember a few Muslim girls, their stupid thing on their head, and they were quiet, but it's obvious, like, yeah, that stuff is just when they're alone, but you see them if they're everywhere. You see them in every Western country. Every time you see them, they're kicking a white person's ass. Yeah, this is a problem. Not good. Not good. Not where we want to go. Not where we want to be. Under the boot heel of a bunch of brown people? I think not. Like, and they're not coming here because, like, it would be one thing. Like, our people were colonists. Our people came there from means. They came there with our way of life and impressed it upon them. Not out of destitution, not out of flight, refugeeing, taking refuge. These people, they're coming here out of desperation, to take refuge. And then, first of all, have the balls to try and tell us how things are going to be. Also, they try to make this country like their old country that they just ran away from. What the hell? Like, so you're a colonist. That's what that is. That's what that is. A lot of people, they seem to think that, oh, these people, they're just idiots. Why would they want to change this country change it into more like the country they ran from? Well, you can't figure that out on your own there, dipshit. Obviously, maybe they weren't running. Maybe they are just covert colonists. That's on the table. I wouldn't put it past them. They do so under the guise that they're coming here for a better life. That's what they all say, anyhow. They're not coming here to enrich us. Coming here to take something from us. And it's obvious that's what's in their mind. That's what I don't like, is it's obvious what's in their mind. They're coming here to take with both hands. These stupid liberals, these stupid Republicans that seem to think they're coming here. Like, people don't, they're not, people like this are conquerors. I can't imagine why, any other reason why I would move to another country. It's certainly not for adventure.
British. Yeah, I mean, you can see it from where you are, and it's not great for us here. It's a little bit annoying, actually, that the government don't seem to have the appetite to do anything. And apparently this was organised, the first one was organised, I think, on one of the social media sites. I think it was Facebook, or part of it on
like
Facebook.
I said.
And now they've allegedly got a WhatsApp group called Ceuta, just if anyone, I'm not saying if you want to join it, but it's public knowledge now.
That's sketch.
Apparently they're going to use the power of social media to try and do it again. It seems that nobody has the will to want to stop this at all.
Why? Why is this the case?
Well, there's a lot of money behind this, and you mentioned in the last segment about the NGOs that are involved in facilitating mass migration, and we can be quite confident that that's what's happening with the Ceuta invasions as well. And so it's, if Spain.
Actually, I kind of wanted to see what's going on this election. What do you guys think? Pull up the Young Turks real quick, see what they got to say.
Of the vote by the time, well, it could be more by the time we get to the end of the vote.
Yeah, interesting. Let's go
could actually be the determining factor.
Okay, so I love it when you guys write in and give us your experiences that help inform us. So I've got a couple of those coming up, but all of a sudden, Nasir Hajjal and Dorota Clifton, thank you guys for joining through the join button on YouTube. We love you guys. Okay, so Jim Huggett says the anti-Abdul ads keep saying that Trump wants him to win because he would be easier to defeat. See, boom, going exactly with what we were talking about earlier. So the AIPAC and all those guys have learned their lesson. They never run ads about Israel. By the way, you know where they learned that lesson? In Cori Bush's first victory, when she was running against an incumbent, they ran ads saying she's not pro-Israel, and people are like, "Oh, okay, great, Cori Bush it is," right? And so they're like, "Okay, ixnay on that. No. Now let's pretend she's racist or something or sexist, right?" So.
And I wish so much. With every fiber of my being, I wish the American people would just totally stop giving a shit what people think. And if oh, you're racist. Well, what the fuck does that mean? That makes me a bad person because I have opinions about people because of their skin color? No, it doesn't. I don't think it does, actually. Like, I'm just tired of this bullshit, man. This, like, bro, you're trying to tell me, oh, that person's a good person and that person's no, man, that's not how you fucking judge people. Does that person go to work every day? Like, do they pay their bills? Are they a responsible person? Are they accountable for their obligations? How do they treat their friend? How do they treat their subordinates? Does their family love them? Oh, he's racist. So, what is that supposed to mean? Like, I don't want to hear that shit anymore. I see all kinds of people that treat people differently because of their race. What of it? That's what people do. Just so tired of it. It's like, man, when are we going to get serious and stop playing pretend with these fucking idiots? We're playing pretend with them. Why do we give a damn what they think about us? Like, this stuff does not matter. I don't get it. It pisses me off. Like, and it's gotten to the point where it's like that racism is becoming the new Hitler, where everybody is just trying to out racism each other. Like, bro, this is so childish. This is so petty. We're getting what we deserve with this stuff. Like, we continue to carry on with this stupid way of politics. Yeah, and we're losing everything, where everything is going to hell in a handbasket.
So that goes along with exactly the raw nerve that a lot of Democratic voters have. Who's going to win and who's going to help Trump and who's not going to help Trump. So they're pressing on that raw nerve. And by the way, that wouldn't exist if it wasn't for mainstream media basically making up that mythology and repeating it maniacally, even though it's not true. Steve Go Watch writes in, what I'm worried about is how the DNC will choose to tuck tail and oppose these popular candidates like Abdul during the general when the corporate and AIPAC money are going to Mike Rogers. No, he'll be outspent. There's no, that part is true, okay? Whereas, AIPAC would take the election off if Haley Stevens wins because Stevens and Rogers both serve Israel.
Why aren't they talking about the stupid election? Talk about the election, bro. At least tell us something. Wally Rashid guy. He does a lot of stuff. Yeah, a lot of anti-Zionist stuff. He's all right. I agree with him on a lot of things, but not everything. I'm kind of getting tired of it. Another thing is this, how everybody's still they're carrying on with this Chicken Little shit with like, oh, they're communists, the communists, the communists, the DSA, the communists. I don't know. I just feel like they think they're turning back to old methods, old ways. It's like they're uh reverting back to factory settings or something. It's really weird. Oh, Mehdi Hassan, this ass
below 14th Street and a big chunk of Brooklyn.
And you defeated Dan Goldman, who was the incumbent congressman.
By 32 points, let's say.
Yeah, you beat him quite handsomely, and I've seen him this week. I don't know if you've checked his Twitter, Brad. I don't know, anti-Semitic, anti-Israel abuse. He's
anti-Semitic, anti-Israel abuse. Bro, why don't you take the big old schlong out of your bunghole, man? Like, seriously, that guy is such a homo. And he pretends to be a straight man. Like, come on, bro. You're not. Stop lying, dude. We know what you are. And he's such a smug prick about Islam. Yeah, I'm not into the guy. But I mean, he is good at what he does. He's a good arguer, not a good debater. He's good at arguing. But it's kind of he's kind of nasty.
like some Democratic politicians want to do that famous line about, well, change the voters, change the electorate. That's the problem we have right now. You look at issues like Gaza, which are, to quote the Republicans, 80-20 issues. The vast majority of the Democratic base says this is a genocide, war crimes are being committed, we need to put restrictions on arms sales to Israel. I should point out, for people who don't know you, Brad Lander, and we've interviewed you a few times here at Zateo, but for those people watching online on YouTube, on Substack, around the world tonight, I should point out, Dan Goldman is Jewish.
Look at this guy.
You are also Jewish.
I really am.
I find it fascinating that people say, oh,
no
this
shit.
Jewish American congressman was targeted.
Bro, you can see that from a mile away. There's they're a weird lot.
For being Jewish, omitting the inconvenient part of the story that the voters of the 10th district decided to replace one Jewish Democrat with another.
Every day I have, Jewish people, often young, but not only young ones, come up to me and say, thank you for being a voice of a kind of Judaism I'm so hungry to hear. Netanyahu does not reflect my values. The genocide in Gaza does not reflect my values. And in a sort of a somewhat similar way to Abdul has said, I don't want to be judged by the regime in Egypt and what they do. And I don't want to be sending them our tax dollars to their military either. There are many American Jews who want to see investments in people here and, all the things Abdul is fighting for, and money out of politics and money in your pocket and medical.
I don't, I'm kind of getting tired of hearing people say, oh, American Jays, oh, American Indians, oh, American Arabs. Like, no, they're not Americans. They're not. I'm getting kind of tired of it. Honestly, it's a bunch of BS, man. Like, that's not how it works. Watching Carl Benjamin earlier, man, he put this a certain way. And I just thought it sounded really excellent.
So a really interesting conversation happened on Julia Hartley-Brewer's show on Talk TV today. Not a sentence I often say, but Charlie Downs was on there talking about what it was that Restore Britain is actually offering that is substantively different to Reform, and why Reform might want to consider some kind of electoral pact with them. This is genuinely interesting. Let's get to it.
Well, many of your colleagues have routinely failed to mention one of the most important ones, I would say the most important one, which is demographic security for the white British people. We're going to become a minority in this country within the next 40 years on present demographic trends. In 2024, only 54% of live births were to white British mothers. This is an existential...
That's different, man. Like you said, you have your wife is white, it's different though when it's like a Muslim from Dearborn, Michigan. Like that's not the same thing.
Potential threat to our nation, and Reform have always...
Well, what do you mean, why? If we literally are outbred by the third world in our own land, then we lose control over our own land.
Right, like that's what I'm saying, Khan. You're not doing that. your wife is white. You're not trying to do that. You get what I'm saying here? You're not threat like this. Your wife is white, therefore you are not a threat. You are intermingling, you know? You're not a threat. Your kids are not a threat. Your kids are half doing in this your kids are doing the same thing we all are doing, like, you know, trying to get your genes forward. They're like you know what I'm saying? It's not the same thing. It's not the same thing. You're not colonizing, like you're mixing. What we're talking about is people, they have no intention of doing that. Like they have every intention of sticking together, and if they could, they would, you know, make it harder for us. Like it is a genetic survival thing. Just yeah, you're not this. That's not what I'm talking about at all. I mean, I think actually that's the right way to do things. That's how people did things in the past and historically. You know, like villages traded people basically. Yeah, exactly, Roxy. I mean, and it's like they want to be part of it. They have no intention. They have every intention of benefiting from it, but they don't intend on investing or giving back. Unless the giving back goes to more people from their home country. Like this is unsustainable. Like we end up not having a home. That's like this, it just scares me. It's like, bro, because that could totally happen. You know, and man, like it's really nice having our own country that we decide our own future, you know, as a people, all of us, we get to decide where we go, whether, at least we get to decide who's ruling us at the very least. But to me, there's a lot going for having your own country, own homeland for you and your people. That's not something to be sneezed at.
And it becomes a third world nation against our will. Nobody ever voted for any immigration ever, and now we're going to become a minority in our own country. And Julie Hartley Brewer's like, why is that a problem? Because she's a liberal, fundamentally.
Denied this.
Why? No. Let me give you a bit more detail around why I'm saying why. I think an awful lot of people in this country, actually of all skin colours, share a concern about the major demographic changes in this country in terms of people coming from other countries, not speaking our language, not sharing our values of adherence to the law, and integrating, etc., etc. However, I don't think that's got anything to do with anyone's skin colour.
Okay. The connection between immigration and skin colour is that most of the world has a different skin colour. Don't get me wrong, if it was millions and millions of Eastern Europeans, or continental Europeans, coming over, that would also be a problem. In fact, it was a problem leading up to the Brexit referendum, where we had loads of Eastern Europeans here, and then they all were like, oh, okay, fair enough, Brexit, we'll just go home then. And everyone thought, great, the immigration problem is solved. In fact, people's concern about immigration really tanked after Brexit because they thought that was how that problem was solved. It turns out that Boris Johnson was like, okay, you're getting third world immigration, then crank open the floodgates. So it's not strictly that it is about...
You know, and also, Con, like, bro, these people are hardcore religious, like, and they're pretty chauvinistic, you know, like, they think the way they think and the way they do things is right. And I like the way I do things, and I think the way I think things is right, but I don't want that. I don't want to push that on anybody. That's the way I do things, you know, unless there's somebody else and I have to compromise. But like, and I get that. We all feel that way about the way we do things, but they like are willing to fight about it. That's the problem here, my dude. They're willing to fight about it. And it seems to be like there's a lot of things that seem that I'm suspicious of, that I'm weary of. And I'll tell you what the locus seems to be of this constellation. It's not so much their skin color, but that's kind of they use it as shorthand, and I get it. Like, I get I get why they do that, because it does seem to be that you don't really see, uh, you don't really see. Well, every now and again, you might see a leftist attack somebody, but it's not like this where you get ganged up on by a gang of guys holding big flags that have Arabic on them. That's scary. Like, that's scary, man. You know, it's like some Lawrence of Arabia shit, bro. Like, no, not here. Like, no, that's over there in their place, in the land that they have. This is the way we do it over here.
Skin colour, Julia, even though you're getting hung up on this, is that skin colour happens to correlate. People from Britain are white-skinned. If the native British people are white-skinned, if you have millions and millions and millions of people with different skin colour, that must have been the product of immigration. It's just that simple.
So
Well,
why is that a threat to our country?
White British is a census classification.
Yes, I'm not disputing that.
Yes, so I'm not talking about skin colour, I'm talking about a census classification that includes...
You are talking about
English,
skin colour.
Scottish,
White.
Welsh,
The
and
word
Irish.
white. It's a bit of a...
Because the native British people are white. Like, you're acting as if this is more important than it is, I think.
Clue there.
Yes, well, I mean, it's a descriptive category used...
There is an ethnicity that is, you know, English, white, British, white. Yes, I get that. And, you know, going back many centuries, we are, and have been always until about 20 years ago, almost entirely a white nation. I get that. Why is there being a few bursts to white British as opposed to, say, black British or brown British people? Why is that a threat?
You know, and it kind of strikes me, what was the point of killing off the Indians? What was the point? If we can live with these fucking these people that want to fight us on our way of life and kill us, basically, why couldn't we live with the fucking Indians? Why do we have to hunt them down like dogs? But somehow we can deal with a whole fucking city of 60,000 Arabs that'll kick the shit out of you if you say, if you protest and say Jesus in front of their march. Like, what the hell? Why? What was all that shit for? What was it for? Why did we wipe those people off the face of the earth if we're just going to fucking put up with this? If this is acceptable? Oh, we're okay. You know, we could deal with this. We can deal walking on eggshells. We could deal with walking on eggshells around these people. We can deal with not being able to go to that state or that town anymore. Like, what the hell, man? This makes no sense, man. We killed a lot of people that probably we could have lived with like this. I mean, surely the Indians would have cut this deal with us. You know, I mean, fuck that. If we told them, yeah, well, they did cut this deal with us, we just stay the hell out of their stuff and they leave us be. But like, I don't know. I feel like if these people, they're like the Indians that we fought. What, you know, they didn't want to live alongside us and they were backward and different. So we killed them all. You know, they were raping our women. They would just burn people out of their farms and homesteads and rape all the women to death and kill or take the children and kill everybody. But what gives with letting these people, I mean, dude, it is savage to attack somebody for saying stuff you don't want to hear. Like, grow up. What are you, a fucking toddler? You can't hear stuff you don't like? Grow up. You know, and I mean, it is like they're forever immature. These other people's, you know, I mean, if you're willing to fight over what some other asshole has to say, yeah, that's pretty immature. That's pretty childish. Like, oh, you have that thin skin. And they all seem to, at least the ones that are from I mean, they seem to have pretty thin skin. And then there are those ones that they don't. Like, you know, I remember a lot, there was probably a couple of Arab kids I went to school with. Of course, you guys know I lived across the street from an Indian family that I was always, good friends with. And Filipinos and Chinese. Like I remember there was I had a Filipino chick, Chinese kid. I mean, pretty much like one of each in elementary school. But they, they weren't that way. I mean, even the Arab kids were pretty meek and modest and behaved for the most part. This is some trailer trash. This is some poor white trash shit right here. Bro, we don't need to import trash. We have fucking garbage of our own. We don't need to import somebody else's Mediterranean desert trash. We don't need it. They can keep it, man.
To our country.
You just said it yourself. When we say white British, this is a shorthand for English, Scottish, Welsh, or Northern Irish. These are ethnic groups to which people belong and have been the native ethnic groups of this island for more than 1,000 years. England became a united nation in, was it 927? Scotland, I think, was 896. The Welsh have been here since time immemorial. The Northern Irish, let's not get into that for now. This is our homeland. We've been here for millennia. Why is it now up for debate? Why is it now that we can just give this away to other people? Why is it that the word British can be substituted for the words English, Scottish, Welsh, and Northern Irish for other people?
Yeah, like they say, Africans are British. What? Wait, what? How does that work? And yeah, how the hell does that work? Because they were born in Britain, and because their parents were born in Britain, somehow that they're British? Like, no, they're not. Nobody thinks that. Like, when did that happen? That if you were born in a country that made you those people? No, it doesn't. Not at all. I mean, it makes you, I mean, if you fit in, maybe it makes you politically aligned with them. Maybe it makes you your lifestyles, your way of life is compatible. But it doesn't really, because there is such a thing as inheritance. That is a thing. Am I wrong here? Am I out of line with this? Because that is a thing. And people have an inheritance and they have rights and claims, righteous claims. The British, they have a claim on those islands. Like Americans have a claim on America. And these people in Dearborn, these Arabs, they have a claim on Saudi Arabia. But they don't have a claim on this country. Or to claim to be a part of, my ethnic group. I mean, we're Americans. And Americans, when you say that, it's like, yeah, we are Americans. And I get that there were, Indians that lived in America, but they didn't win. History is written by the victors. Yeah, that's how that works. We're the Americans. We knocked off the old Americans. We're the new Americans. That's how that works. Nobody said, no, like Turkey, nobody calls that place Byzantium anymore. Nobody calls Istanbul Constantinople. That shit is gone. It's gone. They renamed it and they took it. And I would say, that they took it from somebody who had been there, who had put their mark on it. Like we kind of took it from, like a flock of chickens that we shoot off of like basically it was like a flock of chickens we shoot off of some fallow land that was literally lying unused. They were fucking living in teepees and around campfires, like, although no, they had lodges and stuff. Some of their I believe some of their living arrangements were quite complex, like the lodges and stuff. Pretty like big barns, people laying all over the floor. Anyway, man, my
For other
nose,
people with
I don't know
other
what it
homelands.
is, but I think maybe it's sitting down or something. My nose, it always happens when I'm doing the stream, man. It just gets clogged. I can't breathe through it.
Actually are not suffering demographic insecurity that we are. The only reason that's important is because we have no other lands, Julia.
Well, I think you've just answered that yourself, Julia, and that is that this is a very
Exactly,
recent
Roxy,
change
well
in our
said.
nation's demographics, and an unwelcome change. It is a change that nobody ever voted for. In fact, since modern mass immigration began with the passing of the British Nationality Act in 1948, the British public have routinely voted against mass immigration, particularly from the Third World and former colonies.
And also, the British Nationality Act of 1948 was repealed.
You know, we can look back at history and see what happens when ways of life and there's a culture clash. We know what happens when there's a cultural struggle between people. Hell, there can be cultural struggles against brothers, like the Civil War. What the hell do these politicians think they're doing? Putting these people here. What do they think good? Man, we fought over so little over history. What kind of dumb shit was that? It was dumb. It was very dumb. It's like it can end nowhere else but struggle. And a struggle between peoples. That shit ain't pretty, man. That is it's that when people say war is hell, that's what they're talking about. A knockdown, drag out fight for survival between two peoples. It's like when two cats or two bears square off. That shit gets so ugly. I mean, you ever seen two animals fight? Two cats fight? Bro, it is vicious, dude. It's not like two people fighting, really. It's the most vicious thing you ever did see in your life. Two predators fighting. It's like, whoa. No punches pulled.
And replaced with the British Nationality Act in 1981, when it became evident that it would lead to the destruction of the nation if we allowed literally the entire Commonwealth to just come and live here, right? So there is a reason that we didn't do this. There is a reason that we decided, oh no, we're going to have to essentially close the borders to that. They can't just have free movement because there are hundreds of millions of them and barely tens of millions of us. FYI, Julia.
But you're talking about immigration.
That's because.
What's the distinction between immigration and the non-native population, Julia? They immigrated here. Immigration is how they get here. And if we carry on with immigration, the non-native population will outnumber the native population. And then you're going to have to bloody well hope that they are actually as concerned about your British values as...
See, and that's the stuff that scares me. Does anybody for a second think that they're going to give us as good a terms as we gave them? Come on, man. Come on. Even if they would, why take that risk? Why risk that? Like, come on. Are we stupid? Why would we risk that? That makes no sense. None. It's the dumbest shit ever. These people are stupid that are running this, or they just don't have any sense of culture or anything. They're just like robots or something. If they don't care, I don't know, somehow they must benefit from it. It just beats me.
As you are.
That's because these are people that are coming from vastly different cultures, vastly different parts of the world, with whom we have very little shared history.
I and many others,
and therefore,
Charlie, I and many others share those concerns, but you are conflating immigration and white. Yes,
But white British, because that is the shorthand for the English, Scottish, Welsh, and Northern Irish, Julia. This is amazing, because this is the same argument that Jonathan Miller was making against Enoch Powell. Well, hang on a second. Just because we allow infinite immigration doesn't mean those numbers are cumulative. That's what she's saying, is that, oh, well, what's the connection between immigration and the non-native population of Britain? Well, that's how one grows. That's how, primarily anyway, that's how that population has grown, and it's growing at an extraordinary rate. I mean, Matt Goodwin is the person who's like, look, by 2060 or whatever it was, we're going to become a minority in our own country. And Matt Goodwin is a prominent member of Reform. So it's not like it's just people in Restore who are concerned about this. This is obviously a problem, and we obviously don't want to lose demographic control over our democracy. Again, you assume they are all just going to agree with you and your British values, but it turns out they might not. Why would we take the risk? But moreover, why would we just give up our country anyway? Why would we give up our lands anyway? Why would we, the native tribes of Britain, just be like, well, if the British state wants to replace us with a new electorate, I guess we're just going to have to let it, even though this has only been happening in the last 20 odd years, and even though that was begun by Tony Blair's Labour, which I'm sure you oppose on almost every issue other than this. Why do we have to consent to it? Why wouldn't we want the Boris wave to go home, for example?
I realise that ethnically...
Yeah, see, that's why I'm playing this, because it's very well said. You know, why does this make sense? Why does this make any sense? What gives? This is dumb. Let's not do this. We don't have to do this. We don't have to do this. Like, seriously, let's not. Let's not and say we did, shall we? I'd like that better. Let's not and say we did.
British people have been white, so they have been. However, there are an awful lot of people who we will live and work alongside, and children go to school alongside, who are not just British, as in they've got a British passport. Their parents were born here. They were born here. They know no other country. They consider themselves completely British. They are British. My grandparents on one side came from Ireland. I consider myself. My father was born here. My mother was born here. I was born here. I consider myself British. People with exactly the same credentials, but maybe their family came from the Caribbean or came from India, but they have lived here 2 or 3 generations. They shared language, values, beliefs, integrated, assimilated generations ago. Why is they having babies? Why is that a threat to this country?
Because they're not ethnically English, Scottish, Welsh, or Northern Irish. Like, for God's sake, this isn't rocket science. It's not that they are bad people. It's not that they just need to be expelled en masse or anything like that. It is that the natives, the people for whom these lands are named, the people who historically possess these lands and possess no other, need to think about the demographic composition of their countries.
Yeah. We need to worry about ourselves. Fuck these people. This is our future. We absolutely have the fucking right to determine that. We absolutely have the right to say, no, we don't want to live with you. We are looking out for our children, our fucking future. That's our responsibility. We worry about our future. You worry about yours. It's as simple as that. We have every right to worry about our future. There's nothing that says that we have to give up our fucking future because somebody from, Somalia thinks that I should let them live here. Like, no, fuck them. They got their own country. They got their own country that they can live in. I don't see why we should have to give up ours.
At the moment, we're about 70% native. That's pretty scary. Right? It used to be when you were a young girl that we were like 97% native, and somehow this distinction hasn't been drawn and is not dawned upon you. Right? They cannot make English people because they are not English. They cannot make Welsh people because they are not Welsh. We do not want our ancestors to look upon us and go, right, okay, for some reason you've let our entire people go extinct. Why would we want that? Who would want that?
Exactly. Who the fuck would want that? None of these people that are foreigners would want that in their own country. Why should we want that? Does that make any sense? Why should we just slowly hand over the keys to the fucking house that we own? Why should we do that? Why handing the keys over to the house that we own to somebody that's not our kids? That makes no sense. Makes no sense. I mean, come on. It's just ridiculous. And why would anybody think otherwise? Nobody's ever thought stupid shit like this in the past, ever.
Want to be demographically replaced. What's the advantage? I actually don't care if they were born here and there. Oh, but they don't know any other country. Yeah, so millions of Europeans have been kicked out of loads of countries over the years, even though they were born there and don't know any different. It's not a death sentence, Julia, right? It's not actually consigning them to the fires of Hades or something. It's just saying, well, they can live.
He said that so well. If we're not sentencing him to death, Julia, we're not condemning them to the fires of Hades. Like, and that's it. Yeah, it's like, no, that's not what's happening. They just got to go home. That's all. Shoot. I mean, it's their home. I don't see how that could be it's not a crime.
In another country. But the thing is, Charlie's not even saying that. He's just saying, look, maybe we need to think about this immigration thing and prevent unlimited numbers of third worlders or whoever else coming into our country so our children are not a minority when they are our age in their own country. Why would we want to give up our country to foreigners? There is just no good argument here. And you don't provide one, by the way.
So, Julia, you are here acting as a mouthpiece for the regime that currently governs this country.
Shut up, Charlie. You're embarrassing yourself.
What you're saying,
I mean, you are.
Is exactly the same thing I've been hearing for my entire life, from primary school to secondary school to university, about what it means to be British, and that is that it is about shared values.
Why do you keep mentioning skin colour then?
Because that's how the census category collates in a shorthand the native white British people of these islands versus the non-native people of these islands. Why is that such a bugbear for you?
As I've already said, and as you have acknowledged, white British is a census category used by the government.
Well done there, Charlie, by the way. I didn't know he was going to say that, but correct.
To describe the English, Scottish, Welsh, and Northern Irish.
I have watched this previously, but I haven't got it memorized. I didn't know he was going to say that. I guess he's just been paying close attention.
In other words, the native peoples of the British Isles.
Native, now, yes, I accept the word, I accept that, but why?
Okay, but if you accept it, why don't you accept that the native people of a country might not want to give their country away to other demographics of people? Like, if there were millions of Turks immigrating lawfully because the Greek government was completely government of traitors, just lawfully immigrating into Greece, and these 70 million Turks started displacing the like 11 million Greeks at a rate of like 2 to 1, and the Greeks were going to become a minority in Greece, would you not think that the Greeks would be like, actually, we don't want this many Turks in our country? Actually, we're just going to stop Turkish immigration altogether, and any of those who have come illegitimately or under the banner of our traitorous government, we're just going to tell them, look, you've got to go home now. Again, not necessarily people who were born and raised, but people who immigrated in the last couple of years who shouldn't have been allowed to. Why should they not have to go home?
Because you know perfectly well, and with all due respect, I don't think you're as clever as you think you are, that you are constantly conflating the issue of immigration. I've just said to you, there is an issue with immigration and people who are not integrated, but I don't see what that's got to do with skin colour.
The immigrants are the non-white British. Like, it's not about their skin colour, it's about their ancestry. White British is being used as shorthand to describe native ancestry. So it's not about skin colour. You're, I guess, deliberately... No, you're probably not even deliberate. Probably just that you're a moron. But the point is, they are not native. That's just all it boils down to. We don't want to give the country away to non-natives. They have countries of their own. Why do they deserve ours? Make an affirmative case as to why my children should become minorities in their ancestral homelands. Make it. I want to hear it. And you're not going to make it because there isn't one.
What's your definition of integration, Julia?
People, I think I've already said it 2 or 3 times, but people who speak English fluently, who are completely sharing values, belief in the law, equality under the law for women, gay people, I would suggest would be a key value now for the vast majority of Brits. You can marry who you want, you can worship who you want, you don't shut down. I would consider queuing, being nice, fairness. I would consider all of those to be British values.
You know, the problem with this is values change. Values change. The British have only had those values for a few years. It was just less than half a century ago being gay was totally illegal there. Values change. Lineage doesn't. Bloodline doesn't. That's the thing here. That's the thing here. The British people may not always have these stupid beliefs. You know, like, and what, they're just going to give up their country? These people, they're going to allow their country to be handed to somebody else because of some ideology? It seems kind of out of pocket. Like, this is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. Why are you doing this? This isn't in anybody's best interest to give up their right to their land. You know, you used to have to, like you said, Lewis, like you used to have to fight for it. Like, we had to fight the Indians for our land. It's crazy.
Being integrated.
Right, okay. So before about the year 1900, there were no people who were integrated in Britain, right? No one in Britain shared those values, at least from like 500 years ago backwards. No one in Britain spoke modern English. They didn't believe in women or gays equalities. They didn't believe in freedom of religion. They didn't believe in fairness in the way that you're thinking of it, queuing. They didn't believe in...
You know, I was thinking about women today too, and it occurred to me, this isn't like a slam or anything like that. Like, it was this woman was talking about, it was they were rating themselves for this Asian guy. And the one chick, she was saying, and basically it was coming out from this sort of experiment that these women were explaining how they felt about themselves, how attractive they were. And basically they were saying is that how they felt about themselves depended on where they were in their cycle. You know, when they were on their period, they looked ugly, they felt ugly. They felt ugh. And then when they were, you know, ovulating, they felt, you know, like $1,000,000. They thought they were, you know, beautiful and hundreds out of, you know, 10 out of 10. But I was thinking about it, and then it occurred to me, I was thinking, you know, that's why women are so erratic. They seem so erratic. And because everybody knows women are very hormonal, that they run on hormones. That's what it seems like anyway. And that's why they're so erratic, because they're hormonal and their body is on a cycle. You know, that's their life. That's their life is made up. They have to live and understand it and live with it. And it's, you know, and everything the reason why I brought this up, Robin, is because like everything they say and do is a feeling. Everything they say and do is like instinctual. You know, it's the physical representation of their hormones. And I was just thinking about it. I was like, man, that makes perfect sense. You know, like now I understand women a lot better. Like, I mean, I think everything is hormonal. I think for them, I think even thoughts are kind of like a hormone, sort of. I believe it's chemical, sort of a chemical reaction or chemical release. Even thoughts, you know, because there's something that takes place. But women are, you know, I think it's not that I think their hormones vary to a greater degree, you know, or and obviously, you know, the way they feel is, you know, represent a representation of the hormones that are currently acting upon them, you know, and it's not necessarily a bad, it's just they need to feel, basically what I'm saying is evolutionarily it's beneficial for women to feel bad about themselves for a week out of the month, or to feel they're gross. And then it's like I said, it's beneficial for them to feel good about themselves when they're, and obviously that's the case. I mean, they're that way for a reason, and it works. We're here, we made it this far. And I was just thinking about how it kind of, it's so, it kind of bothers me, or it doesn't bother me. It's just weird how society, everything gets some stupid term, some stupid name. Every time I hear one of these new feminist terms, like I heard one called like, I think it was it was imperial something. So it was basically and you've heard them before, like the what is it, heterofatalism. It's like they rush to slap a name on any new feeling or idea so that they can color that idea. They can decide how the rest of society feels about it. If they jump to it and put their brand on it, boom, they can totally color everybody's idea of that, of what to think about that heterofatalism. It's just, it's kind of it's a silly name. I've just started to realize that they name everything to get the jump, to get everybody to fall one way, or fall one way or the other with opinion wise.
Any of this stuff, right? So no one up until about 1600 even had the vaguest hope of being British as you think of it. So what is this? Is there no ancestry here? Is this still not the collective claim that we have? What happens when people don't agree? Like, I don't agree with your British values, right?
And that's the thing is, yeah, people don't agree. But one thing everybody can agree on, even if I dislike somebody else, they are white. They are American. I can't say that they don't belong here. That's the thing, is that you have to live alongside those people. You have to accept, that I have no more right than they do. And that's why that's the common denominator. That's why that's the sticking point. Does that make sense? It's like, I never really knew how to put it into words, why that was, and that's it right there, is that's the one thing that allows you to live alongside that person, no matter what they think. Right? I mean, it's the one thing that you can't really deny. You both of you can agree that you're both the same ethnicity, even if you can't agree on anything else. And there's something to that. Yeah, and it's the same thing with any other people. They can tolerate, everybody sort of likes the smell of their own brand, as they say, likes their own stink. And that's kind of what that is. Tolerance for your own stink. And kind of gross, but very gross. But it is what it is. And I think really, when you get right down to it, humans, yeah, it's pretty gross. Like, we're pretty gross, pretty crass, pretty vulgar. Yeah, for sure. But we can put up with each other. I can put up with living with my family. It's hard. I mean, I could put up with a lot more if somebody is my kith and kin. I mean, truly, you can live alongside somebody like who's trying to, who would like to kill you, or once, like, and if they're your family, you can live alongside them. Like, family members, they arguably try to kill each other, and they tough it out. They tough it out. But yeah, not other groups. No, it's not. It's not acceptable. It's not even reasonable.
I don't agree with, I mean, I love the Welsh are no longer, the native Welsh speakers are no longer British because they don't speak English. Like, that would be amazing. Like, there are probably Gaelic speakers in the very far-flung Highlands who basically don't speak English.
And you know, this guy, Carl Benjamin, is such a good this guy is a perfect poster child for Tashdid Khan. Like, honestly, his grandfather, I think, was black. I think so. Yeah, he's a quarter black. And, you know, he's as English as any Englishman I've ever seen. Like, you know, so and it's hard for me to argue with that. I still I have an admiration for Benjamin. He's a smart guy. You know, I would say, I mean, one could say he's whiter than I am.
I mean, you would be like, yep, they're not British. Deport them. But I don't agree with your values of equality, women's equality, gay equality. I don't agree with the word equality at all. I'm not saying that these people shouldn't have some kind of rights, but I just don't see the point of gay marriage. I just don't agree with it as a concept, really. And it's not that I'm particularly hard against it. I'm not really that bothered about it. But if you were to ask me in the abstract, well, should gay people get married? It's like, well, no, because marriage is between men and women for the purpose of bearing children. And obviously gay couples can't bear children. So what's the point?
Exactly.
Like, this is a weird kind of liberal.
It's a very weird game to be playing. It's like, but wait a second. Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. And I'm not trying to knock gay people, but it's like, you know, really that whole idea is because people recognized children are special. You know, there's something special about that. This union, it's going to produce more human beings. We like this, you know, we want this, we want to encourage this. We think this is sacred. Let no man break it asunder type deal. You know, and it's not like I don't want to persecute anybody. It's just like, it's kind of weird. It's like, you know, one of them is noble, and also has a sacred place because of the purpose and the end, you know, what it produces. It's the whole reason any of us are here. It's the whole reason we all exist. There's something sacred about that. Much more sacred than love. Much more sacred than love. You know, that right there, like the struggle for life, as it were, and reproducing, like, yeah, that we don't even exist. That's the only reason why, you know, arguably, that's the only reason why we exist. So there is something sacred about it. And people used to take it serious, and they would tough things out. You know, they would spend the rest of their life with somebody they didn't much like, because, you know, that's what you did. You got married, you had kids, and it wasn't about love. It was about, you know, producing the next generation. I feel like we've gotten so far away from what matters, like what the point of life is. It's not just some abstract, I'm right, you're wrong. That's so fucking petty, man. So immature. I feel like that's what liberals, they think life is about. Life is about being right and being wrong. Like, what are you, imbecile? You know, like, God, you're stupid. And that seems to be like people that get sterilized. You know, a guy on the internet, like an article about a guy in England that got sterilized in his 20s. And it was like, why I did such and such. And it's like, because you're a fucking fool. That's why you did that. You didn't do that because you were smart or because you were virtuous. You did that because you were a fucking idiot. Because you let what other people think of you, you know, decide your future. Man, you can't get dumber than that. You can't get any dumber than that. Doing something for what other people think? Oh, come on. Come on, dude. Like, holy shit, man. What a waste of a life, dude. you're a eunuch at that point. I can't. I don't see it. I don't see any nobility in that. No, I see shame,
vanity, and I'm not down with it. And again, women's equality. Women's equality in what? Like, there's a huge conversation to be had there. Be like, no, we've got to agree to everything. So, well, then why? Why do I have to agree with that? I mean, I don't stop being British if I don't agree with that. I love the idea that you can be like, yeah, so all British people have to have my values, or they're not British. So actually, I don't have to. You know what? I don't have to have your values. I don't have to be a fucking libtard, which is what you're saying. If you're not a raging liberal, you can't be British. No, I can actually. I can be a British reactionary if I like. I can be a British traditionalist. I can be a really, really far right. I could even be a way further left British person than you. And I would still be British. Because being British is based in your ancestry. Again, white British meaning native is based in your ancestry, Julia. That's what this comes down to. I don't know why you...
And the thing is it's like we're not even saying that it's better than Indian or Arab. We're not saying that. That's not even the argument here. It's just that a spade is a spade. I'm this, you're that. I mean, what the fuck? What do you want out of people? You know, like these terms have meanings. And Indian people, they wouldn't like, you know, dot not feather. Yeah, they don't want somebody to pretend that they don't exist or to tell them. Like, it's ridiculous. These people are proud of who they are, and it's like the honor thy father and honor your father and mother. That what that's saying right there is honor your people and your lineage. You know, like if you're Christian, bro, that is a fucking commandment to honor thy father and thy mother. That means honor your genes, honor your people, honor where you come from, have respect and be in gratitude for where you come from. You know, yeah, that right there. I think that's something that liberals, that's something that they'll never, they don't understand it. They don't understand that they're arrogant and they are sinful because of the way that they talk about their lineage and the way that they carry on in public, you know, bashing their parents and stuff. I think it's despicable if you want to know the truth. You know, I think we owe something to our forebears, and maybe I'm lucky my parents didn't, you know, scar me or anything. I don't hate my parents, but I think you should be proud of where you come from. You know, a lot of people were in the race and didn't make it this far. You know, to be born, a lot of people didn't make it that far that could have, that should have. But also to make it as far into your life as you have, that's a feat in itself. You know, I feel like most people don't seem to make it nowadays. They don't seem to make it to old age. Kind of crazy.
So obsessed with imposing your value system on other people. Leave me alone.
If all of the white British people currently in Britain were replaced by Pakistanis and Somalians, all of whom believed in queuing, would Britain be the same as it is now, or would it be different?
You've got no answer to that. Your standards make it so you are forced to say, well, yeah, I guess if we've got English-speaking, libtard queuing Somalians, then that's not a problem. And that's an issue, isn't it? It means that the white British, the native population, lose their countries. I don't want to lose my country, Julia. It's literally that simple. I'm sorry if this makes you feel icky when you go to a dinner party with libtards. You're like, oh yeah, no, I'm not a racist. I don't care about skin color. I don't care about any of those things. I can't believe those icky Restore Britain people who just keep going on about not losing their country to Somalians. I'm not one of them. Okay, great. But we are not like you. We do not have to be liberals, and we are not liberals.
This is the key question, Julia.
No, it's not the key question.
It is absolutely the key question.
You're making a glib point. You're the one who keeps saying it's about immigration, and then you keep talking about skin colour.
The immigrants, The skin color of the immigrants usually correlates to the fact that they are immigrants. It is not a judgment, does not make them good or bad, and many immigrants don't have a different skin color. It's the census description that we use. That's just it.
That's the thing. That's what it is too. Nobody's saying really that all these people are bad. It's just like, look, we're looking out for our interests as a gene pool, as a people. We want our own land. We want to be in charge of have sovereignty, be in charge of our own destiny, of our own future, of our children's destiny. Am I wrong here? I mean, am I out of line here? It doesn't really seem. We already, we don't have anybody left to fight about over this. Everybody that had a claim on this land and wanted to fight over it, we beat. They're gone. We don't have to do that anymore. This is ours. We're a recognized united, we're a recognized country. Yeah, we don't have to do that shit anymore. Like, and I don't like, we need to get over feeling guilty about it, seriously. And letting like Hollywood celebrities make us feel guilty about it. Fuck those people. They're empty stuffed suits.
Julia, that's just it. The number of immigrants and the number of non-natives directly is connected because the immigrants are the non-natives who are arriving here and increasing the number of non-natives that are currently in the country to the point where we're going to become a minority in 2060. What more can be said, Julia? Honestly, you can't pretend to misunderstand this any more than you already are.
Because, Julia, the question is, are we a people or aren't we? And if we are, then the changing demographics do have a material effect on the future of the country.
Changing demographics do.
Hitchens, I don't want my children to grow up in some effing Lebanon, which is the situation we are rapidly hurtling towards with the massive demographic change that we're experiencing in this country. So, if we are to restore Britain and turn it into a country that is worth living in for young people and old people, and all British people, then restoring Britain's demographic security and recognising that the changing demographics is at the root of so much of what is wrong with our country today is absolutely essential. And as you have just demonstrated,
I will say, I don't think, I mean, that stuff, I don't think we're really there yet. I just think we need to have a little bit of take a pause here on the immigrants. And I'll tell you, Mexicans are one thing. These are good God-fearing Christians. I could take La Raza. But these other people that want to kick some ass over saying Jesus in public, man, hey, that's not a good idea. Let's not do that. I mean, that's dumb. That's dumb, man. These people are they're tribal, like, and they're violent. They're violent, man. I don't want to live alongside violence like that. It's already hard enough as it is. There's already a lot of violence, it seems like. So I don't know if you guys ever see this stuff. I don't know why. I've seen a few Ben Shapiro clips.
Well,
lately.
folks, just when we think things can't get even dumber, they somehow do. Retardos of the day include Andrew Tate writing haikus from the internet.
I was on Substack earlier, and I was uploading some shit or something, and I was cycling through. I don't really follow a bunch of people, but I was cycling through and picking people out. And bro, it just seemed like it was Andrew Klavan, Ben Shapiro, Alan Dershowitz, and dude, it would, I would say load more, and I click load more, and it would repopulate it, and there'd be like one or two new people in there, and then like 15 J's. And I did that like 15 times, bro. Every freaking one had Andrew Klavan in there. The New Jerusalem. The New Jerusalem, bitch. Where are you talking about, bro? The New Jerusalem? Are you talking about the Jerusalem in Middle East? I sure hope you are. Like, I hate their faces, man. screw these people. Like, I hate when they start trying to name shit after these places. You know what I mean? Like, bro, leave that shit at the door. No, we don't need to rename stuff. We have good American names.
From his prison cell. Clavicular gesture maxing while makeup maxing in a gigacope. And a Billboard Hot 100 hit is stirring up controversy for possibly being AI. If it is AI, then we need to destroy AI right now. We must talk about.
He is such an autistic loser. Big time. Like the way I don't know, he just seems like he's trying to be Mr. Cool Guy, trying to keep this. He thinks he's keeping aura up, and I think he looks kind of embarrassing. Seriously.
Out the tweets that are being sent from Birmingham jail, apparently, by Andrew Tate. So Andrew Tate apparently has access to tweet things. And the profundities that are emerging from the mouth of this admitted pornographer and pimp, an alleged sex trafficker and child pornographer. Some of the greatest wisdom. I'm so glad he had so many allies on the right, Andrew Tate. What a genius he is.
And they do all this moralizing. He sits from his little bitch ass pulpit and talks smack about these guys. And just like, basically sits on this high horse and thinks that he gets to judge people. And it's like, no, you don't, dude. Nobody thinks of any, like, you're a scum, man. You're scum. You were beget by scum, and you have begotten scum with your ill-gotten gains, no less.
And without these pearls of wisdom, how would you even function in a society? So Andrew Tate put out a tweet early this morning, a tragic tweet. Quote, "If you are sad on a yacht, you are sad. If you are happy in jail, you are happy. Absolutely nothing matters outside of your state of mind. Few. Period." I don't know what the few means. I got to admit, don't know what that means. But thank you for the jazzy synopsis of Viktor Frankl. And
he plays dumb. It's so goofy. It's like, bro, you're talking shit about a guy that's sitting in a jail cell. Come on, man. Like, the guy's in jail. I mean, he's fighting. He's being, I don't know, maybe he's being wrongfully persecuted, but, he's just trying to console himself. And this guy, he just thinks he's being slick. And it's like, you're just being a jackass. And not all that funny either. Not all that insightful or funny. Really.
And he also put out one tweet, a profound tweet yesterday. "Cells are small rooms hypercharged with negative energy. Full-grown men crying tears after murdering their wives. Suicides in the middle of the night. It takes constant chi to repel the spiritual attacks." These are like some really bad haikus. So I'm getting the syllables right.
They're just fucking
on the amount. Just the greatest wisdom often comes created using AI. If it was created using AI, it would be the first AI song to make the Billboard Hot 100. Okay, we shall now evaluate.
Person in the world, but that doesn't mean that you hound the guy to his grave. Truly, you don't hound a man to his grave. And like all this stuff that they say about him, it's like, young guys do a lot of dumb shit, and young guys talk a lot of shit and exaggerate and bullshit and swagger, boast. I mean, they do. And I don't think that makes them, like, they dismiss them as pimps and this and that. And it's like, yeah, I think there's a little bit more nuance to it than that. Because a pimp, we all know what a pimp is. I mean, they're kind of low lifes, but they didn't videotape the stuff they were doing. And I mean, I've seen him take out a belt and whip this chick's ass, like, kind of like a dog. And I thought, honestly though, it could be an act. And also, it's kind of it has kind. I mean, it's kind of like just kind of has an adult. It had a kind of in retrospect. It's like kids kind of playing and kind of having a dominance thing going, but a belt whipping it, hitting a chick a couple times with a belt like as a punishment. Yeah, that parents do that to their kids, but that I would not conflate that. I mean, I wasn't. It's like he didn't rape her. You know what I mean? Like it's not like he did that. Like yeah, hit her with a couple times with a belt. A belt. That's that kind of implies that there's some restraint involved because a belt is not a fist. A belt is not a fist. A belt. That's kind of like you know. You're not going to hurt somebody. I think that's the whole point of using a belt is that there's restraint to that. But yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of a witch hunt with the Tate brothers. I don't necessarily like these guys either. I think they're kind of pompous, but kind of arrogant. But it's a witch hunt. It's a witch hunt, and I don't like the witch. Like I think that is some of the worst aspects of human nature, is that desire to hunt, like to lynch mobs, because that's what a witch hunt is. Because a witch hunt that ended up in somebody getting burned at the stake. I don't like that stuff. I think that's honestly, it really is the worst. The humans at their worst when they turn into like this headless animal that can be poked and prodded in different directions, and that very often in the past people got hung. White people got hung lynched as often as black people. Don't let anybody fool you. They lynched the hell out of some white people too. In fact, most people that got lynched were white people. Guaranteed. That's a fact. Most people that got lynched were white. When a lynch mob got whipped up, they didn't much care who they lynched. That's why it's so crazy. Yeah, no, I grew up in that pre-internet too. Well, my little brother, he's like the late end of the millennial. I'm in the middle. My older brother's at the beginning. But like, yeah, he was like the first generation that grew up with a landline and all that stuff. But also at like 12, or maybe it was 13, we got iPhones. So he grew up. I mean, he's very in tune to it. Yeah, but I think that's like I'm glad I got to grow up in that era. Waking up on Saturday morning in your little briefs, your little Spider-Man briefs. Got little Spider-Man on your butt. And you come walking into the kitchen to get a bowl of cereal on Saturday morning. And you sit on the couch and wait for your parents to get up. Like, it's so cute. Like I just think of myself, think back, like my little briefs on. No clothes, just briefs.
Terrible.
What do you guys think of this song? It's kind of good. I don't know. I don't think it's the worst. It's got this 80s vibe. And I kind of like that, actually. I don't think it's that bad. I think he's an idiot. And he thinks he's some music guru that's got impeccable taste. And he's going to bash this. And it's like, bro, a computer made this. That's pretty impressive, man. Because I've heard a lot of shit. And this is not the worst thing I've heard. This is better than a lot of stuff that they put on the radio in the last 20 years. Gas of absurd proportions. Shut up, dude. The song is not that bad. The song is pretty good. That's such bullshit, bro. Objectively, that song is not bad. It's not, bro. It's not. That song is halfway decent. It's not like, it doesn't sound like nails on a chalkboard to me. It sounds okay. The beat is pretty decent, and the lyrics aren't too bad. The dude rhymed boulevard with card. The shit went hard, man. Like, I rolled down the boulevard and play every single card or something like that. It was good. I thought that. I mean, I think I have pretty good taste in music too. Like, I've been told this, but I don't know. Maybe I am wrong. Shit, could be.
That was awful. So thanks to
Why do you want to judge it, man? Why do you want to fucking judge it, bro? Who are you? You know, like, why can't you just enjoy it for what it is, my dude? What's so hard in that? Why can't you just enjoy what we have for what it is? That's all we're going to get. That's all we're going to get, bro. We may as well enjoy it. Okay? I mean, it's that simple, you know, glass half full. And, you know, sometimes, like, and, you know, sometimes there isn't, you know, really, and it's like, what do you want a meaning for? I mean, when it comes down to it, what do you want a meaning for? You know, that's not the point of life. I'm not so sure anyway. I don't think, you know, and it, yeah, I'm not so sure that is the point of life. I mean, we try to, but that there doesn't have to be meaning. You can live for the moment. You can live for a lot of different things. But having to judge it, having to always put a label on it, having to always, you know, I mean, I get deciding, is it good? Is it good? Is it, you know, and making that decision. But if that's all you're going to get, does it really matter? Does it really matter? If you have no choice, then what's the point of sitting around bitching and moaning about it? What's done is done. Okay, and it's that simple. And I'm just, I don't know. Sometimes I think a lot of people, they get caught up in their own little fiefdom. Like I was saying, I think this is why we have such shitty government, is because people get so caught up in this stuff, being right or judging or not being wrong. So we end up with really, really poor government. And I don't think it has to be this bad. It wasn't always this bad. It doesn't seem like China doesn't seem like they're doing it like this. China doesn't seem to be doing too bad of a job. I mean, it seems pretty obvious to me. Anywho, fellas, ladies, it's been a good evening. I appreciate y'all coming through and watching. I'm glad I felt better. I took some Advil and my headache went away. Anyway, yeah, this Muslim stuff's kind of, I hope we can fix it, or at least keep it status quo. Anyway, though, like and subscribe if you haven't already. Become a member. I'm going to start doing, man, I'm fucking stoned. Normally I don't get like this. But, yeah, I got to figure something out. Like, I don't know. I might just do the members only on the stream, members only chat, or go members only. Like, I got to do it now, too, while I have the members. So, and also there's a thing I seen on YouTube that you can do a trial membership. I'm pretty sure you get like a first month for free or something like that. Pretty sure that's what it said. Anyway, I looked, seeing if I could give a trial membership out. I wasn't able to find it. Anyway. Oh, hey, what's up, Alex? Yeah, he is. He's very rage baity. And I mean, he's ripping on Clav too. And I get that, but I think it's a little feminine for him to do that. He comes off very effeminate to me now. And also he's twitchy. It's really weird. He's twitchy. He has like weird uh tics. He's kind of autistic to me. Anyways, good to see you, Alex. I hadn't seen you in a little while. Anyway, that's it for the show, fellas. Ladies, I'll see you guys tomorrow in the next one.